Okay, guys, this is going to be a little bit rushed because I really wanted to get this out before New Year's Eve because some of you are going to go out tonight and have a lot of fun. Okay, everybody here, well, maybe not everybody here, but a lot of people here have had a hangover before. Maybe even a bad hangover. Maybe even kind of hangover that you look back on and go, wow, I'm never going to do that again. And, we usually break that promise to ourselves pretty quickly. So how do you prevent a hangover? We've all heard the basic stuff, which is like drink lots of water, eat a fatty meal, all these things that can delay absorption for alcohol, don't drink a glass of water with every single drink, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what, from a nutritional point of view, could you take to make life easier for yourself? Well, what you're going to want to do, and you should stop the video right after I say this, and ignore the rest of it if you need to, is go out right now and buy something called n-acetylcysteine. NAC is the way you'll commonly see it said on the different bottles, which is an amino acid that actually lets your body produce more glutathione. Glutathione is like a master antioxidant for the body, but it's very hard for your body to absorb it orally through, say, regular foods or even glutathione supplements. But n-acetylcysteine will tend to produce more glutathione than glutathione would itself. What NAC does, and through that mechanism, is it actually scavenges out the damaging parts of alcohol. Because it turns out the ethanol itself isn't that bad for you necessarily, at least in the short term. What's really bad for you is it breaks down to acetic acid and acetaldehyde. Now, if you put that aside for a second, we've all heard that methanol or methyl alcohol is very, very bad for you. It can kill you or cause blindness, or more commonly cause blindness or kill you. But it's not the methanol that does that. It's the actual breakdown into formic acid and formaldehyde, like embalming fluid, that actually causes the damage to your eyes and actually can be lethal to your body. In fact, one of the ways that they used to treat methanol poisoning was to give you something like ethanol, like vodka, and your body would break that down preferentially and not break down the methanol, and the methanol would eventually pass through your system, and you would live and be fine. I wouldn't try that at home. It's a very bad idea. Okay, so getting back now to what we said about ethanol or alcohol, it breaks down into acetic acid, kind of like the formic acid, and acetaldehyde, which is an aldehyde like formaldehyde, like the embalming fluid, and that's what's really nasty. It can cause long-term alcoholics to have those red faces, broken capillaries, and just feeling irritable and nasty all the time. So n-acetylcysteine binds that and tends to scavenge that out of the body, probably through the glutathione mechanism, but there's probably more to it that I'm not thinking about right now because it's not necessary. So what you want to do before you go out drinking is take around 1,200 milligrams or so, or even more, of n-acetylcysteine with some vitamin C, because that kind of regenerates it and makes it work better and keeps it from oxidizing. And that's going to keep you from having most of the hangover effects that people are familiar with. You're just going to be much less likely to have that kind of really, really nasty, evil feeling. And if you can stay hydrated at the same time, you'll avoid a whole nother dimension of those hangover effects. In fact, I've seen it work so well for people that they told me they literally will not go out on a holiday without n-acetylcysteine. Now, your mileage may vary. It may very well not work for you, or you may not perceive that it's working. It probably actually does work for you, but you may not notice it. In fact, one of my friends said he didn't know it was working until he stopped taking it. And then it was like, wow. Now, n-acetylcysteine does all kinds of other great stuff, too, because it does produce more glutathione, which is one of the master antioxidants, so it's healthy for you in general. It lowers the amount of mucus you produce. It's actually good for your lungs. It's actually good for allergies. They actually think that it has the ability to stop certain aspects of addiction in your brain. But that's all stuff we can cover later. Right now, you need to know that it's likely to keep you from having a really bad hangover. And then when you get home that night, if you remember, take another one with some more vitamin C. Now, in addition to that, you'd like to, if you could, take vitamin B1. B1 is something that is depleted often by alcohol very quickly, and is something that your body really, really needs. So a sign of B1 deficiency could be mental confusion, could be tremors, could be a cardiovascular problem. Now, that's not going to happen when you go out and drink one night, but a lot of those side effects seem to be from a B1 kind of like, I guess, deficiency from the moment. And when people take B1, they tend to feel better. So they did this neat little study. They took these poor groups of rats or mice or something, and what they found was, excuse me for 1 second. And what they found was, what they did was, they gave all the different groups a lethal dose of alcohol. So every rat in the control group died. Every rat that got 90% of the rats that got n-acetylcysteine lived. That's pretty nice right there. 100% of the rats that got n-acetylcysteine and B1 made it through. And that's the big indicator this stuff should be pretty good for you. So, to wrap that up, and there's other stuff we can do, but for right now, n-acetylcysteine, vitamin C, and B1. Not necessarily in that order. If you had to pick, n-acetylcysteine first. If you had to add something, B1. If you add one more thing, it would be the vitamin C. And that's the most likely combination I have. Off the top, easy to get, that's likely to help you prevent a hangover, in addition to water. Okay, one other little quick tip, a little quick pro tip for you, is your stomach will often bother you when you're drinking. So one thing you can do that actually stabilizes the stomach pretty well, and you can thank David Lade for this little tip, was mustard. Believe it or not, a teaspoon from mustard before you go out and when you get home and when you wake up in the morning is much more likely to settle your stomach than most things are going to be out there. Now, at the very end here, I kind of wanted to give you another quick piece of trivia. So you can just ignore this part. I just love this thing. During Prohibition in the United States, which was between 1920 and 1933, the government started enacting policies that resulted in the deaths of a lot of people. And what they did was, which is kind of interesting, is, and this is something that existed for a while, they started putting really, really toxic substances in alcohol. Now, before that time period, they had put substances that didn't taste good or were relatively nauseating into industrial solvents and stuff like that to deter people from drinking it, and that enabled those companies to get kind of like a tax break or something. But when they realized during Prohibition that people were actually drinking this alcohol and it was being used in the marketplace, so these drug gangs, or excuse me, these alcohol gangs or mobsters would actually pay chemists to take the nasty stuff out of this industrial alcohol so that people could drink and they could sell on the streets. The government's response was to make the stuff even more toxic, make the stuff so toxic, in fact, that we were putting like methyl alcohol in there, the methanol we talked about, resulting in blindness, brain damage, and even death. So in 1926 in New York, all of a sudden these hospitals were being flooded with these people that were coming in that looked like they had symptoms of alcohol poisoning, but then would just die, or they would just become really, really sick, almost in a permanently debilitating way. And they started issuing these warnings about these alcohols this alcohol that had actually been poisoned, so that people could pay a little bit more attention to that. I just thought that was a really, really interesting trivia. They actually estimate not only did hundreds of people die, and not only did thousands and thousands and thousands of people get sick from it, they estimated that during the entire time of Prohibition, and this may not be a great estimate, maybe up to 10,000 people died because the government started putting this toxic material in. And it wasn't that they were deliberately trying to poison people. Their mind was, people shouldn't have been drinking this anyway, therefore we're going to put this stuff in there as a deterrent, not understanding human nature, that people just really don't care, and they're going to do this stuff anyway. Anyway, that's about all I have for you for tonight. I hope you have a happy and safe New Year, and I'm looking forward to talking to you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.